think one of the most beautiful parts of the journey is starting, and starting on a sunny day at the ferry terminal. It's wonderful. Haven't got tired yet, you know, I haven't got bored with driving. It's all still ahead and full of possibilities. I don't know what my expectations are of this trip, other than I think I'd like to really just get away to a lovely place, away from people, away from phones and email, and just to experience some real peace and just to be, you know, in that lovely wilderness. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know what the cabin's going to be like. I don't know what the location is like really. It's pretty remote. I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to the drive as well. 3 days of driving. What a day to start a trip. It's a beautiful, sparkling morning. I mean, I did have to get up at 5:30. No, 4:45 to get here. But it's just so lovely. I feel full of the joy of starting out on an adventure. Can you see out the window? Can you see what I'm seeing?
Por el camino del desierto, el viento me despeina, su aroma de colita, nada de labios. Ella de lo lejos, una luz entera, la idea de mercar, te vi por en la noche.
It's just lovely. I've stopped at a rest area in southern Oregon. It's so beautiful around here. It's so peaceful. It's just the sound of these doves. I could just get out a chair and just sit here with a book.
Y la campana de sonar, y me dijo ya mismo, esto puedo del cielo. Ella enciende una vela y nuestra de camino. Soy vos el corredor y yo te dije diciendo, he venido del California. Such a lovely place, such a lovely place. He venido del California. Such a lovely place, such a lovely place. Ella dorado que brillaba, tiene una Mercedes, rodea chico guapo, ella ama mi amigo. Cuando va en el patio, perfuma de verano, hay que venir para recordar y otra para olvidar.
So just looking for signs. I've been driving 45 minutes on dirt road and going, I've got clues, left and right turns, looking for marks, and then a particular view, and then eventually look for this sign, Quarter Horse Lane, private road, dead end. And then they said, here are my instructions, and then they said you come to a green gate which is not locked, I hope. And here's the green gate. And I'm just too... crap. But it is. But it is locked. A country boy I'm not. There's Wolfie. Good boy, Wolfie. Almost there. I'm under an escarpment, so it's quite high up here, but it's essentially semi-arid. And then the cabin, which I thought was going to be located in glorious solitude, is actually on a sort of ramshackle kind of ranch of some sort. I'm not quite sure how to describe it, that is dotted with unfinished projects. So somebody, Art, the original owner, had a vision here of building a kind of retreat with various cabins, none of which were fully finished. And then he sold this and the whole scheme, I think, to Lyndon, the polygamist, who is with his son and others gradually working on it. My cabin was the first building built, maybe I think about 13 years ago. It looks like it was built with scavenged bits of lumber and building materials and never finished. This is the setting. It's quite beautiful. The woods around us are dotted with unfinished cabins. It's really odd. Anyway, this is one of the more finished ones. And the building materials sort of scattered around look like they've been here for a very long time. There's an RV over here, which is kind of abandoned. Nobody's living in it. Over here is a truck. This is one of the visiting trucks. There are several families here this weekend who I think are all related, and not always in the best of ways. Anyway, there's my dear Wolfie that got me here, and here's my cabin, you see. And when they put this online on the web, of course they took the pictures from a certain angle, not from the unfinished angles. The unfinished bits look like they've been unfinished for years. Anyway, there's a project going on over there, and here's my cabin. And next to it is the battery house. This is where all the batteries that are fed by their solar panels. Here are the solar panels. The electricity is stored here. Last night the electricity went out for some strange reason, about 11 o'clock, and came back on in the middle of the night. Foyer. The cabin is dotted with framed prints of the desert that Art has taken. He shot these photographs. The cabin's quite cosy in a way. I mean, it's well appointed. It's got lots of somebody's cast off plates and dishes and cutlery. Here's my kitchen. Not bad. Here's where I eat and write and look at maps and plan my expeditions. And then here is the living room. Now it's in the details that it gets really unusual. Here are some faux Indian artifacts. A sort of carved stick with some antlers on the end. I'm not sure what real Indians would have used this thing for, maybe back scratcher. And there's a hoof on the end of it. And the place, of course, as you might imagine, is dotted with Christian messages. I have a television and a VCR and a DVD player, so virtually all the technology is covered. There's no television reception here, just as there is no internet or phone service. And there is a selection of movies, I have to say, and VHS tapes. Most of them, the movies are really awful. I mean, I'm not quite sure. There is a full collection of Waltons, and there are many religious documentaries. I'm glad I didn't do all those exercises I was planning to do, because I wouldn't have got through this corridor. This is the bathroom. I only take you in here because it's got a couple of Jesus moments. Overlooking my toothpaste is a nice message, and a Holy Family clock. We have the bedrooms. You could actually sleep, 6 people here. That's my master bed, with a monumental headboard thing made out of logs. The bed is really uncomfortable. It doesn't matter, it's really uncomfortable. Here's my wardrobe, and there's another bed over here, and you can pull a kind of blind across, a sort of curtain across. It's okay. This bedroom is unbelievably hot at night as the cabin catches the sun and heats up. It does have one or two unexpected guests. There are chipmunks living in the ceiling who run around late at night. Yesterday, Art, who built this cabin and sold it to Lyndon, told me that Lyndon was a practicing polygamist. And I know a little bit about that, having read about them, and I've also been I drove to have a look at Colorado City, which is the strangest town. It's a town that has no regular shops, stores. It's just a collection of giant houses in which these large families live. They don't formally marry the women, but they live as in common law sort of relationships, but several women, usually very young, with older men. And many women some women have escaped, left, and told their stories about these arranged marriages and terrible kind of abuse. They also never finish these houses. That's the weird thing. They never finish these houses, so they're trying to avoid paying taxes on them. They live right outside on the margins of the law and society. Art told me that Lyndon has many wives. Some of them are in Colorado City, and one or two, I think, are here. Anyway, last night a number of trucks arrived for a sort of gathering, and I can see walking about the place, and a lot of children further away up the property, and women in traditional sort of fundamentalist Mormon kind of dresses. They always wear very long blue dresses, sort of covered up. Anyway, that's the intelligence so far. Just come back from a rather spectacular day. A little bit hard to describe. Art, who built the cabin and lives close by, asked me if I wanted to go to investigate some beautiful canyons nearby, and I said, yeah, sure. So he picked me up and we went back to his place. I could spend an hour describing this man. He's a Vietnam veteran and has served was a police officer in Florida for 20 years, has lived all over the world, is a committed libertarian, meaning that he doesn't much care for government of any sort, voted for Trump, told me all kinds of things about Hillary Clinton and how evil she is, and how she's actually in control of 3/4 of the world's uranium. Anyway, so he's a survivalist. He lives on a mountaintop in a trailer. He builds cabins all over the place. He's married to a younger woman who lives in Dallas. He has a child. Anyway, but he's Christian, trained as a pastor. Anyway, we went on this adventure. He gave me 5 minutes instruction on how to drive a 4-wheel drive all-terrain vehicle, those quad things, and then we took off down these trails into the forest and up these incredible steep cliffs, trails, and I was so worried that I couldn't do this, but I did it, and we went to this beautiful place. The last bit I had to ride on his vehicle because I would have freaked out on mine. It was so precipitous, and we came to this beautiful place and saw these astonishing pink canyons. And all the way he's telling me these stories of his life. So on the way back down, I'm still on his vehicle, and I glance over to note he has a gun in his pocket. It is a semi-automatic handgun. I said, what's that in your pocket? A classic, you know. He said, it's a whatever it was. He always travels. He has several firearms in his cabin. This one he was traveling with. And I said, why do you need it? And he said, in case we get into trouble, in case something bad happens, like a cougar attacks you, and I have to. I was thinking, you know, and all kinds of things flashed through my mind, like maybe this guy's not who he says he is, and I'm on my way to a very nasty end. But he wasn't. He's a nice guy. I'm covered in. Have you noticed? I don't know if you can see it. I've got a great big. I've been riding through dust all day. I'm covered in dust, a thin layer of dust. He's just dropped me off. We're going on another adventure tomorrow to some canyon that he photographed. It's a beautiful place he showed me. Anyway,
well, I'm just getting ready to go out on another expedition with Art. He told me to bring a lot of water. I don't actually know what a lot of water is, but anyway, I'm filling up whatever containers I have, and I only can carry so much water. We're going to a canyon near Page. I think that's on the border with Arizona. There's a beautiful canyon there. So I don't know what's in store for us. He's got quite a way to drive, and then we'll hike up this canyon. It's a bit mad in the way, you know, to go off into the wilderness with a man who is essentially a right-wing. He's not a nutcase, but he's not me. We will be armed, I'm sure. So that's taken care of. I'm looking forward.
Senor, Senor, can you tell me where we're headed? Lincoln County Road.
Do you want my wrist?
When I can't do this, I tell everybody, time for the nursing home.
Down this road before. Is there any truth in that saying? Senor, Senor, do you know where she's hiding? How long am I?
Better watch what I'm doing. There is a bit of a drop off to the side.
How long must I keep my
What I was going to say is that Art, in recommending this canyon, we'd been driving along the road and we stopped and he said, let's get out. And we were on this little bridge looking down into the canyon. You couldn't see the bottom. He dropped a stone over the edge and it took a long time to hit bottom. Then he told me that during a storm the bridge had washed out and 3 young guys in a pickup truck had driven down the hill and into the canyon, and it took them, rescue people, days to retrieve the bodies, but the truck is still there. I just met a couple of hikers and they were coming the other way, and I asked them had they been down into the canyon, and they said no. They saw the rope and decided not to. The rope wasn't too bad. It's actually not very far, but it's a bit disconcerting if you've never done one before, which I haven't. Okay. So I clambered down there. It is astonishing. And felt very proud of myself. But then I see another rope. And it looks, how the hell do I get down this bit? I have to be careful not to go beyond what I'm really capable of. Anyway, it's beautiful and it's so cool down here. Art told me one other really worrying thing about slot canyons. You should not go on days when there are thunderclouds, because if a thunderstorm happens sort of 10 miles away and dumps a bunch of water, it rushes off the plateau into the slot canyons and it picks up speed. It fills these canyons. Traveling at, he said, 70 miles an hour. He said there is a wind ahead of the water. That's classic. If you feel the wind, you're dead, because the only way to survive is to climb up, and usually these are too smooth, difficult to get the right height, enough height. So the water comes, dashes you along the rocks, which act like cheese graters, and you emerge the other end in parts where your body has essentially been minced, and you're not recognizable as you. Oh. I got as far as I could go. There was a drop about 12 feet, and I just didn't feel confident that I would be able to do it, and certainly not be able to climb back up. So that was the end. And then I climbed back. I'm hiking the old mail delivery route between Escalante and Boulder. So this was a trail that went across the escarpment and across a place called Death Hollow. So I'm hoping to reach Death Hollow and see what that's like. It is a bit intimidating today. The temperature is well into the hundreds Fahrenheit. The tricky part here is figuring out where the trail is. Some kindly folks have left little cairns, so I shouldn't get lost. I think I have reached the edge of Death Hollow, and I'm going to have a bit of water before I go down into Death Hollow. I was walking along the stream and saw up on this slope this beautiful cactus blooming. Isn't that lovely? I'm not going to make it to Death Hollow. It's several miles down here, and it's really hot. And I've got 2 hours walking back all uphill, so, and that's assuming I don't get lost. Boiling, roasting, sizzling, boiling. I'm glad I turned around when I did, because it's hard coming back up, and it's really hot, really hot. But I was thinking how much I will miss the feeling that I have right now of warm sun, really warm sun on my skin, and the smell of sagebrush. There's a desert smell, and it's very fragrant, and it's sort of a mixture of rock and heat and sage and pine. It's lovely, and I'll miss it. I'll miss the solitude, but I'll come back. I think I've now realized there are ways for me to come back that my body will still take. I don't think I could camp here, not in a tent anyway. Maybe in a giant recreational trailer with air conditioning and a television. Nah. But there are cabins, and there are places where one can get away and live comfortably. But I really appreciate it. I think for the first time I felt that I've fully appreciated the moments that all of the moments I've been here. I haven't found myself wishing they would rush by and get onto something else. I just really have loved everything. say I'm getting a very inside look at America because of this experience of staying here. It's weirder than I could ever have imagined. It's more extreme. I love this part of the world. I just think it's so incredibly beautiful and such a treat for somebody who lives in a city to be able to come to a part of the world that's relatively untouched and is giant and is all those things that I grew up thinking of as the West. So I feel torn coming to places like this because I don't agree with this society at all. I don't agree with this culture. And I always find myself wondering whether I really want to come back. I mean, I'd come back.
Did you ever want it? Did you want it back? Oh my, tears me apart. Did you ever fight it? All of the pain, so much pride running through my veins. Bleeding, I'm bleeding. My cold little heart. Oh, I can't stand myself. And I know in my heart, in this cold heart, I can live or I can die. I believe if I just try. You believe in you and I. Did you ever notice I've been ashamed all my life? I've been playing games. We can try to hide it. It's all the same. I've been losing one day at a time.